Hi again. I had told a story before about Drew Delaro's dad, Andy. He was a great guy, and he was a veteran. And it sparked a story that I was witness to that was told by Drew's mom, Liz. We were all at the dinner one time, and I really can't remember exactly where we were, but there was a bunch of us there. I think Butch and Lenore Conti were there. And we're all telling stories, fun stories. And Liz went on to tell a story about her husband, Andy. And she explained it in such detail, and she set the stage perfectly for the story. As I've said before, Andy had a workingman's bar that he owned and ran. And as a result, it wasn't a 4 o'clock in the morning bar. He used to close up 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, unless there was a ball game on or something. But most nights it was early. And when he got out of there, naturally, he's not going to go right home. He's going to stop someplace else and have a cocktail or two with a friend, maybe. And many times it was at the Brass Horn where I was working, and or he'd go other places. And sometimes those nights turned into 2 o'clock in the morning nights. So Liz tells the story that on these nights she went to bed early because she worked at the Reader's Digest and got up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But on these nights that Andy would come home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, he, would raid the refrigerator or, raid the kitchen. He was hungry. He had the munchies. So, he would make himself a sandwich or open up a bag of chips or cookies or whatever. And he always left a mess on the kitchen table. And he went to bed. Next morning, she would wake up at 6 o'clock to get ready to go to work at Reader's Digest, and she would go down into the kitchen and find this mess, which she would clean up. But then when she told Andy about it later, he would deny it. That wasn't me. I didn't do that. You're nuts, So she had had enough of that. So one night, Andy came home and had his little, munchie fit in the kitchen, and then he went to bed. And she got up the next morning to go to work at the Digest. 6 o'clock, she goes down into the kitchen, and there was a mess on the kitchen table. So rather than clean it up, she said, I decided to leave the mess there and write him a note explaining exactly what was happening. So she wrote a note and left it on the kitchen table. Now keep in mind, this is a husband and a wife. She writes a note to him and leaves it on the kitchen table. Dear Andy, last night you got home somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. You had a peanut butter sandwich, a banana, and a Hershey bar, as you can see by what's on this table. And there was, the jar of peanut butter was there, the open bag of bread was there, the wrapper, the banana peel, everything was there. So then she left the note there and she went to work. He gets up at 9 o'clock or so, gets ready to go open up his bar. He comes down and he sees what was written on the note, and he sees the mess on the table. So he decides to answer her on the note. And this is what she tells us, and I tell you what, we all cracked up. He wrote on the note. Who writes this to their wife? He writes on the note, after he read it. Maybe I'll reread what she wrote. She said, Dear Andy, last night when you came home, between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, you had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, a banana, and a Hershey bar. And this is the mess you left. He wrote the next morning, Dear Liz, fuck you, I didn't have a Hershey bar. And off he went. It was priceless. Absolutely priceless.